Has this ever happened in your group?
Yo, I can touch this, right? What's the rule?
If it has, I think you'll find this helpful. In this video, my ball lies on the fringe, and in my line of play, I have a variety of obstacles both on and off the green. One by one, we're going to go down the line and talk about what each object is based on their definition, and talk about what you're allowed and not allowed to do. All right, so first up here, we have a piece of bark that's off the green and this giant leaf that's on the green. Now, these are natural objects, meaning that they just occur naturally in nature, and they're also loose, which means that they're not solidly embedded in the ground, they're not growing, and they're not attached to anything. And any unattached natural object is by definition a loose impediment. Now, when it comes to loose impediments, you're allowed to remove them anywhere you want on or off the course, and that includes in bunkers and in penalty areas. And off the course just means out of bounds. So if you were close to out of bounds and a loose impediment interfered with your stance, you would be allowed to remove it even though that loose impediment was out of bounds. Since there's no issue with me removing these, I'll go ahead and do so. And I'll also add that when it comes to removing loose impediments, there is no limit as to how exactly you go about removing it. I could use my towel, a hat, my club, or any other way, just as long as I'm not unreasonably delaying play. Next on the list here, we have a coin that is off the green and a tee that is on the green. Now, these are obviously not natural objects because they're man-made. They went through some type of manufacturing process, which makes them artificial objects. Artificial objects are referred to as obstructions, and I can move these obstructions with very reasonable effort without damaging the obstruction or the golf course. So that makes them movable obstructions. Movable obstructions are very similar to loose impediments in that you can remove them anywhere you want on or off the course, and you can remove them in any way. The big difference between a movable obstruction and a loose impediment is that movable obstructions are a lot friendlier. If I were to remove a loose impediment and that caused my ball to move, I'd get a one-stroke penalty, and then I'd have to replace the ball on the original spot. But if I removed a movable obstruction and that caused my ball to move, there is no penalty. I would just replace the ball back on the original spot. So since there's no issue, I'll go ahead and move these out of the way. And next up is sand. Sand is special, because even though it could fit the definition of loose impediment due to it being natural and unattached, it is a special case that is specifically excluded from being a loose impediment. So any sand that's not on the putting green must be left as it is. You can't touch it. But there is an exception when the sand is on the green. And this would make sense because players all the time splash sand onto the green from greenside bunkers, and sand isn't meant to be part of the challenge of a ball rolling on the putting green. And removing sand is one of the improvements you can make to the putting green even though your ball isn't on the putting green. So I'd have to leave this sand as it is, but I could get this sand out of the way. That was a big pile, probably too big of a pile for this video. But anyways, that's what we do with sand. And last on the list here, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it well or even at all, but I've got two pitch marks. I've got one right here off the green and then one on the green. Now, pitch marks are just like divots. You're not gonna get any special relief in any way from them, unless of course the ball is embedded, but that's a different subject. So the pitch mark that's off the green, I have to leave it as it is. I can't touch it. If I were to tap this down or try to fix it with a repair tool, I'd get the general penalty for improving the conditions affecting my stroke because I'm not allowed to alter the surface of the ground in my line of play. But for a pitch mark that's on the green, it's a different story. Pitch marks are part of damage on the putting green, which is an improvement you're allowed to make to the putting green no matter where your ball is. So there is no issue with fixing a pitch mark that's on the green even though your ball is off the green. And that wraps up this video. And if you think I missed covering what to do about a sprinkler head in your line of play, watch this video right here.